All right, everyone, welcome to Inside the Click podcast. I'm Monica, and I am here with my co host, Michelle.
Hi, everyone.
And we are so excited that it is episode one. This podcast has been in the works for some time. We've been doing all the brainstorming and everything that we want to bring to y'all. So we're finally excited that it's here. And since it is episode one, thought it would be good to really explain why we wanted to create this podcast on the creator economy. So, Michelle, why don't you start with why you felt like there was a need to start talking about this in a new way?
Yeah, so this industry is totally wild. And it it's probably like the first industry that I've worked in and like latched onto where like I'm not bored.
Mhm.
Um and even with that, right, the one reason like why I think that this industry is so exciting is because it's just always evolving. You get all of these new platforms, these new ways of doing things popping up literally every day. And staying on top of it can be challenging if you don't know where to go.
Yeah,
On top of that, right, like you have so many companies like vying for the same audience, and there's not really an impartial third party that's just kind of like, this is really what's going on here. Like, this is kind of the way that things are going because we see these five companies all doing the same thing. So
right.
there's just a really big gap there. Um, and I mean, you and I are both like data, we can get technical. Um, and I think also in this industry where it can be hard to quantify and you have to do so creatively,
Mhm.
there's also a gap there. So it's just
Totally.
like there's just nowhere that really gives that impartial perspective and can really break things down.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. And I
yeah.
think one thing that's been kind of driving me nuts lately from a creator standpoint, because I've been in this space for like 10 years and I don't do this influencer thing full time, but I still like try to stay on top of it, like personally as a little side hustle. And what drives me nuts is that all the resources out there on growing your creator business is like how to make your TikTok go viral, how to make your reels go viral, how
Mhm.
to get more likes. And I'm so over that. Like we get it. The algorithm changes, but this is $1 billion industry. Why are we so focused on the tiniest piece of that puzzle?
Yeah, and even, just, like, to your point, with all these social platforms, like, they're going to keep changing, like, they're going to keep evolving, but, like, you meaning, like, creators need to understand how all of these pieces fit together in, like, your business to really figure out, like, does it actually make sense for you to have like a viral TikTok if that's like not driving your bottom line, or if that's not like if that platform doesn't really jive well with your audience? Like there's so many shiny objects out there, and it can be very overwhelming, and I feel like burnout is so big in this industry
Yes.
because of that.
Oh, 100%. Because, you know, it's so wild how this is, again, multi-billion dollar industry, but everyone is kind of just piecing it together and going based off what one other person says. And so it's just kind of like you are going to chase that shiny thing because you're like, oh my gosh, hopefully that person has the secret that I've been missing out on. And it's like, what if we started treating this like other industries and kind of used, I don't know, data other than the TikTok that did go viral that says how to go viral, but it went viral because it's just everyone just wants to know how to go viral.
Right. Right. And it's even like when there is no like even organization in the center or whatnot, you have like so many different companies like telling you what to do, but they're all partial to their thing.
Exactly.
So it's just like, of course, the person that works for X platform is going to say their platform's the best because they want you to use it. But
Exactly.
even outside of some of those things, like really being able to like even look at an experience and be discerning and be like, okay, this platform is like really pretty, but I see that when I'm using it, there's like 5 different steps before someone actually goes to a retailer site. So,
Yeah.
like, I need to be mindful of that, and do I wanna prioritize aesthetic or do I wanna prioritize ease of use for my audience? So,
Right.
like, even just being able to back up and think about that and, like, outside of, this salesperson's telling you that, this account manager's telling you that, like, I think that people like need a resource where they can build the skills to think about that for themselves
Right.
and make those decisions on their own.
Right.
So,
And on that note, it's like, think about how many new platforms there are that have become established in the last year. Like, of course, they've all been working on this behind the scenes the last 5, 7 years. I think Howl is technically like 9 years old, but
oh,
it's
true.
just now like
Blowing
showing up
up.
in the market.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, do you feel like there is a place for each of these platforms and that they're just going to have a different type of creator in each one? Or this is just the year of all these platforms and then next year it's going to go from 8 to like 4?
Interesting. Um, I think it really depends on 2 things. The the actual value that the platforms are driving.
Mhm.
Um, and like, right, that's a little more black and white where like you have like conversion rate or do I have higher CPA, right?
Yeah.
And like those are kind of these like objective values that will make or break a platform.
Yeah.
But then I think that there's this other piece that it's just like, what like, what does the company stand for? And is it
Yes.
something that creators wanna be a part of?
I think that that community piece and feeling like you're a part of something is huge. And I've thought about this in so many different contexts, but yesterday I was thinking about how if you're a creator, you're not going into an office and have 15 coworkers that you get to like chat with all day. You are at home creating content with maybe 2 other people max. And
Mhm.
that's kind of lonely. And I've been there where when I was doing this full time, I just craved being around other people and I joined the wing so I could like be in a co-working space because I mean, working all day by yourself in a 360 square foot apartment is just like
Yeah.
you will go insane. And there's even like the part of being able to bounce ideas off of people and things like that. It's kind of wild how isolating this industry is. And I don't think people think about it because all they think about is that they have 500,000 views. So they're not alone. But yeah,
Mhm.
like feeling like you are working with a company that stands for something and that you feel like you are a part of their growth. And I think that's what
Right.
LTK did, right? Like they kind of grew with the creators, and those top creators probably have the identity that they are equal parts to LTK because LTK wouldn't be what it is without them, but they wouldn't be what they are without LTK.
Yup. And even, like, I think that's something that is even potentially overlooked at times is that really strong social media presence that, like,
Mhm.
makes it feel like you're like, "I have to be there," and
Yep,
they do a very good job at that.
yeah,
Um,
and, like,
and just
conference coming up
Yep,
and
yep,
making that exclusive. I think they only allow, like, 200 people. It's, like, invite only, and
yep,
I think there's something to that. They
mhm,
could easily make it so that you have to pay $200 to get a ticket and anyone can go if they wanted, you know?
right.
There's that, like, that's the dream, that's the goal, that's a milestone piece to it.
Yep. And well, that's the thing is like so many of these new platforms, like you don't have that luxury. Like you
Mhm.
see some like for example, Howell, right, who's like just starting to post on
Yeah.
Instagram and whatnot, and they're like, sign up to be a creator. It's like they have to take a completely different play
Mhm.
at like how to break into things because they don't have that luxury.
Yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see like if a company can like really like stand out
mhm,
and create that like cohesive experience that people really want to be. Cause like right now it's kind of like they're pulling people in, but like you want to get to the point where you have people like knocking down the door because they want to
exactly,
be in your program.
exactly. It
Yep.
and it's, like, such a balance too because if you make it too exclusive, then you're lose as a platform, you might be losing out on some really high potential people who just haven't made it yet, but
Hmm.
then you're also opening up the door for someone who like, during the pandemic when everyone thought that they could be an influencer. Like, that was such a fascinating time. I am sure, like, all these companies saw the most massive spikes because all of a sudden everyone's home, like, "Of course I can do this."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but even like kind of going back to like the industry at large,
Mhm.
that this industry is like so big that I think we might also be in a place next year where all these companies still exist
Yeah,
and because there's plenty to go around. Like this
yeah.
industry is not slowing down. I actually one of the um something that I will never forget just with how right since like us being so involved in data
Mhm.
and like seeing that some of the impact that this industry has is really untraceable. There was one time that Cody Rigsby he posted about those like sugar-free Swedish fish knockoffs and I like saw his post and then later that day or maybe the next day I was in Target and they were like right next to the cash register and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's what Cody Rigsby promoted. Sure, I'll try it." They were so bad. Like,
Were
no
they?
thanks. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, "Cody, you let me down."
Oh,
But
no.
this if you think about, like, even just where marketing dollars are going and how, different, like, forces influence your purchasing decisions, it's not really that commercial on TV anymore.
No.
It's that person that, like, I follow and I like all of their advice that they give about X
Yeah.
subject.
Which,
So
on that note about commercials, I could be so off because I feel like the Amazon commercial I'm about to reference is probably for, like, Gen Z, and I have no idea who this kid is, but there's this commercial I keep seeing on Hulu, and it's, like, this kid, and he's, like, vlogging, and, like, I get the vibes that he's probably, like, some YouTuber or something. So, I think it's interesting that, like, Amazon's probably using their influencer program to now
Mhm.
do their actual advertisements rather than hiring an actor. And maybe it's an
Well,
actor, but I just get there's just something that tells me that people know who this kid is. Just the
yep.
way, like, it was very much about his personality, and it seemed like there was an inside joke. So
Yeah, that's what the kids are into nowadays.
which how wild is it that 1 in 4 Gen Zers is that the term Gen Zers? 1 in 4 wanna be creators.
Yeah.
Do you think that's, and I didn't dive deeply into the source of this and like the full report on the survey. So I don't know if that meant 1 in 4 want to be part-time content creators or they want to be full-time content creators. But could we be going into a place where everyone's a content creator on some level and that's just like part of what life is?
Yeah, I mean, I even think that like you see like people that are not trying to be like quote unquote influencers or sell things or whatnot, and they have like all really nice curated feeds, and it's like kind of the best parts
Yeah.
of life. And I think that as we all just become more and more entrenched in technology and our phones, and like we use all these social media platforms, it I think that that is a very real just reality of what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it probably is a combination of full and part-time,
Hmm.
but it's kind of cool to think like if it is full-time, um, just like what would that look like?
But
I
we
don't
need
know.
like doctors and lawyers and people doing other
I mean, it could turn into a thing where
like
like you
that's just part of the
literally
gig, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Like
No,
it's
it's
like
true, like, there are like, there's always been celebrity doctors, so
well, I mean, I follow a dermatologist who's she has I feel like over 500,000 now followers on Instagram,
yeah,
and like she's a doctor, but then she also gives advice and is just like okay, this is not I know that everyone's talking about hyaluronic acid, but
right.
like this is old news, like don't let anyone fool you. So it I could see, I mean, offering legal advice that way is a little risky.
Yeah.
But it's I mean,
Yeah.
who knows?
I mean, there's also, like, worse things people are doing. I There was,
Yeah.
like, this whole thing of, like, TikTokers giving tax advice at one point, and they were just,
Oh,
like, straight up giving advice for, like, the IRS to come after you. Wild.
but
Basically,
it
like,
is,
"You're
I
dead,
mean,
you're dead."
even if you think about it, when Wikipedia first started, right, everyone's like, "Don't use that, it's
Yeah,
unreliable." But now it has evolved into I mean, I go there a ton if I'm like, "Okay, I just want an overview, what's
yeah,
going on," and it's reliable.
yeah. I
So,
think one of my high school friends put on our high school Wikipedia that he won like state in every sport. I think that might still be up. I should check.
well, I guess for easy to identify
Yes,
things, it's
exactly. I use that to look up celebrities and like who they're
yes,
married to. That's like my most
yes,
used Wikipedia
yeah,
scenario.
and they're like their careers versus personal life or
Exactly. That's my favorite. Yeah.
and I also do like looking up events because they
Yeah.
tend to break things up
That's
and
true.
it's very easy to digest. But yeah, who knows? Maybe TikTok is the future of all of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what YouTube was supposed to be like YouTube University, where you didn't even have to go to college. You could just learn everything you needed on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's
But
my $1 million question.
yes.
And I think that it's a good way to establish episode 1 and where we're going. But we know that this industry is not going anywhere. It's only going to exponentially grow. But is it going to exponentially grow when it comes to sponsored posts and flat fee opportunities? Or is out at some point affiliate not going to be in the question, or is it always going to be there? I think that's where creators sometimes don't know where to spend their time because
Hmm.
affiliate is so time consuming. It would be really nice to think, oh, I just have to book 5 sponsored posts a month and then I don't even have to like bother. But I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think affiliates always going to have to be there for the data.
Yes. I think it's kind of like, I mean, if you just think about it like, what's that expression? Like pound to pound?
Yeah.
Like the sponsored stuff, right? You get 100% margin. It's like you know it's coming in your pocket, but then and with affiliate, you're getting a fraction of a conversion that you drove. But I think it's kind of like I'm trying to think of like a good analogy. It's kind of like you practice a sport
Mhm.
so that when the game comes, like you do well.
Right.
The affiliate piece with the data is what kind of proves that you can do it. And it's kind of like lead gen for yourself.
Yes.
So it's like, yes, I know I can, drive sales or I can generate a ton of awareness, but like that's not going to be the bulk unless you have just like these massive audiences or like you can
Right.
sell a bunch of like $10,000 purses.
Right.
Like it's going to be really hard to make all of your income that way. But it's kind of like you need to
Yeah.
because you need to do it so that you can show what's possible in an objective way.
Yeah. And I think it kind of recession proofs your business in a way because we're seeing that right now brand budgets are tighter and they're
Hmm.
probably picking the creators. Well, they definitely are picking the creators who are already driving to that brand, who don't have to teach their audience about a new brand because it's already working. Versus, I feel like 2 years ago, there was so many ad dollars to be spent. Brands were willing to take a risk on a creator who's never shared that brand in their life and that they're using it even for the first time.
Yep. Well, oh, I feel like this is like a topic for another day too, but even with like audience familiarity with a brand, it's not even as simple as, oh, okay, well, I know that my audience is used to seeing me post Nordstrom. It's the fact that the audience and the people that buy things already have an account on that website.
Yep.
And they already like, so they might have like a points program or whatever that they're already plugged into. And so it's not even that it's like, oh, why would they post a Saks link instead of Nordstrom? But like, there's kind of some of that more like technical like onboarding or familiarity or even just like in interest.
Yep.
So that's kind of when it does come to diversifying, which we are seeing a lot of, right? But there is a risk of lowering your conversion because of some of those like more technical pieces. So it's just I don't it's a
We're,
push and pull.
yep.
Like what works, try new things, but like you also can't forget about what gives you success.
Right. We're going to have to do a deep dive on that.
Yeah.
And speaking of future episodes, I'm springing this on you, Michelle. I just
Yes.
had this light bulb moment. But anyone listening, if you have any questions about the influencer space, send them into us, whether it's a DM on Instagram. That's probably the easiest, honestly. You can also email us at hello at InsidetheClick.com. But send us your questions, and why don't we have like a Q&A section during our episodes and we answer listener
Yeah.
influencer questions. Maybe we
Yep.
pick like 2, 3 questions and get those answered for y'all.
Yeah. But
Cool.
no matter like we'll also keep a backlog of
Yeah.
questions. So the goal is to answer every one. Because I'm sure also I always say this, I feel like, but if you have a question, guarantee someone else has that question and they're not asking it.
Yes.
So
There's no dumb questions,
yes.
especially when it comes to this industry because it's the Wild West. And I promise you, Just ask the question. Just ask
Yep.
it.
Yep. Yep. Love it.
All right.
Cool.
On that note, we did it. Episode 1 of Inside the Click. Make
Done.
sure make sure you subscribe anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. That way it's automatically downloaded and you know you're not going to miss out on the next episode. These are going to be weekly episodes, so keep an eye out for the next one where we're going to answer your questions. So make sure you send those in. And our Instagram is at Inside the Click, and we're going to create a TikTok for y'all. How about that?
Yes. Yes. We got to get with it.
Yes. All right. Have an awesome week, and we will chat next week.